mean, A24 recently did, they've recently they've greenlit a sci-fi horror called The Backrooms with Kane Parsons.
Yeah,
He's a 19-year-old.
He's
the
19
youngest.
now.
19 now. It's incredible. He's got a sci-fi movie greenlit from A24, the youngest director for A24 ever. And they found him on YouTube. How do other studios go about trying to access that talent?
Well, the cool thing about YouTube is it has this little counter right underneath the video that tells you how many people watched the video, which is it's a cheap and easy way to get there. But I like that you use that example specifically because A24 is this bastion of quality, is this bastion of artistry and thoughtfulness. And I think what's really interesting about The Backrooms, has anyone watched The Backrooms, the YouTube videos? There's some homework here. It's these like super creepy, like liminal space videos of this kid made basically in Blender and After Effects, and a whole bunch of people said, "Hey, this is super scary." Just these like rooms that are like, there's not even that much happening in most of them. And if I came to you and you're A24 and I said, "Hey, I have this movie about rooms," you'd be like, "What?" Like, no. But you actually get to demo this with an audience, and you actually get feedback as to what they like and who they are. So it's very interesting to me that the film world hasn't really woken up to this. But I think that that's changing, and I think that there's 30 examples like the one that you just mentioned. But that one in particular feels potent to me because the kid's 18 as well. So like they're actually trying something out.
Well, welcome. Thank you for being here. So this is, again, a newer space for people. It's not a newer space, but for the traditional kind of film and TV space, leaning into the YouTube world is relatively new in the grand scheme of things. So tell me a little bit about your journey with Shy Kids and kind of how, because there's an interesting backstory here, how you got into sort of YouTube content.
Well, that last presentation was scary, eh? No? Okay. So my name is Walter. I work at a company called Shy Kids. We started, we met in university. We won a talent show. We sang Sir Mix-a-Lot's Baby Got Back, acoustic. And then we started making movies together. And actually in 2013, we made a film called Noah. Cameron Bailey, is he still here? It premiered at TIFF. It won TIFF that year. And it was like the first film set on a computer screen. So if you've seen other Screen Life films, that sort of genre was started with that short film. And then from then, a lot of companies came to us when they needed screens in their films. So if you had a documentary and it had text messages, it was a lot of documentaries about cults and murders and stuff like that. But if there was a text in it, that was us.
So you mean like the little things that pop out on a screen? Or what?
Little things that pop out, or like, when two characters, when they're trying to recreate sort of like a social media conversation that someone had, or when someone's YouTube video goes viral. So we worked on a lot of graphics for those kind of companies. And then we became like a little studio who, when people had problems, they would kind of come to us with their problems. And that's kind of how we came to be.
And what kind of stuff are you working on now? Like it's grown quite a bit. So how, what are the types of projects? Is it across film, TV? Like what are you working on at the moment?
Yeah. So last night there was like a dinner or a drinks reception, and Christian, who runs the festival, had this like really interesting commentary about the festival square, where we're set here in Zurich. He's like, in this square, there's an opera, and there's an art house cinema, and there's like a sort of blockbuster cinema. And in Zurich, all of those places are at the same square. And I kind of think that that's what we're trying to do. I think we're trying to make, operas. We might also be like the person busking out front of all of those different things. But I think that we're trying to make videos for different mediums. And I think that something that's really important is when you make something, you have to be very aware of what medium you are making it for. So if you're making a TikTok, it's very different from making a feature film. Mm-hmm. And I think people often fail when they try to transpose backward, or like when they try to just put a clip from a feature film on TikTok. It doesn't seem to work. In the same way, if you played a TikTok on a movie screen, it doesn't work. So we're trying and testing all these different things, including using AI. And I think that presentation, I joke that it's scary, but I think like what's also scary to me is that, there's like 5 filmmakers who get to use IMAX cameras. That's a really scary thought to me. Most of them are white dudes,
It's a very fair point.
Yeah, I think that what really excites me about things like AI is like the next avatar is going to come from some kid's basement, and I think that YouTube and TikTok is the real, it feels more like direct democracy in a way. Mm-hmm. A movie, you don't know how Snow White was greenlit. You don't know who's like asking for this, but somehow you're told that you like it. Whereas like YouTube, there's a more direct interaction. It feels like more like local politics than, the president or the prime minister.
Yeah,
or whatever.
it does. It totally democratizes people's ability to make films, right? These platforms, it's incredible, and the reach they have, and the audience, and especially towards youth skewing audiences, it's enormous.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know. Does anyone like know who Kai Cenat is here? Okay, well, this guy's the biggest guy in the world right now. Mr. Beast, who we all like can laugh as a punchline, is like, that is who people are looking towards as being important figures in like kids, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, the generation after. They don't really know who Brad Pitt is. Like they don't understand who these people are. And I think right now that as a film community, I mean, we're sitting at a film festival. I think we think of these things as in opposition to film, Like Mr. Beast is opposed to Brad Pitt. And what I would argue is like, actually you guys who are the film industry have like so much power in that you get to decide, like there's so much clout and so much expertise that comes with the film industry. And the fact that we're not looking at YouTube and TikTok and we see it as this sort of like cast off media, I think that's going to really catch up with us very quickly. Yeah.
In terms of YouTube and even sort of TikTok, you could say, in terms of it being a sort of almost like a petri dish for talent, how there's so much content. How does one, if you are a studio looking for a new filmmaker who has been in the business for a while and isn't watching all of the kind of, what did you say his name was? Kai Cenat. I mean, I have no idea who this person is. How do you sift through this all to kind of find, the talent?
I never understood why they cast Tom Hanks as Woody in Toy Story. Like, I was like, why do you do that? Can't it just be anybody? Well, the reason is because they have an audience, and they're bringing the parents, and they're bringing the audience. And I think that with YouTube, you can really very quickly show that and see that. And there's a bunch of stuff on YouTube that's crap that has millions of views. So I don't think views is the only determining factor. That being said, it's a good start. It's an interesting start.
It's really interesting what you said about, you know, the industry needing to look at these platforms as not being competitors, but ways they can kind of work together. I think in San Sebastian earlier this week, there was a panel where a few people had outrightly said, you know, we are competing in terms of distribution and eyes on screen. We are competing with YouTube. What are the kind of next steps, would you kind of say, to sort of distributors who, you know, it's very tough to get people to come to the cinema to see your movie? How can traditional distributors work with YouTube in kind of benefiting both sides? Like, what are the kind of active steps that could be taken?
Well, that's tough for me to answer because I am not like, give us money, I guess. But I think like the deeper question is like, for the distributors, the question that I would have back to them is like, who is the most important modern filmmaker? Jordan Peele. Okay, where did Jordan Peele start? Sketch show. Best movie of the year, or like most important movie of the year, Weapons. Sketch show director. Like, the reason I think that these filmmakers are succeeding in this environment is because as a independent sketch filmmaker, you got to do everything. You're your distribution, you're your merch, you're your editor, you're your DP, you're everything. So that when these people get the opportunity to make a $10 million movie or a $2 million movie, they can stretch that dollar so much further. And so I think that what's really interesting, I think, about those examples too is like Jordan Peele was like sketch guy, Zach Kreger was sketch guy, and like they had success in making horrors. So I don't know the exact blueprint for how these distributors or studios can like reach out to these people, but like what I would say is that if I told you the guy who made Key and Peele sketches went ahead and made Get Out and is now arguably one of the most important voices in cinema, and I showed you some of his early sketch work, I don't know if you would have like put two and two together. So I think that you're really looking for something special, even if those special things are, you know, so much of YouTube content that reacts with kids is people playing video games and commenting on it. And I think that as a film community, when we hear that, we like, ooh, like that sounds gross. But if you can kind of look past that and see that who's the personality who's doing that, what are they doing on stream? You know, Mr. Beast, who's now, I don't know, a bajillionaire, he like started with doing Rubik's Cubes videos. And it's like, I think you need to look a little bit deeper and nurture talent. And I think that that's also something, because the margins are so thin now, the actual nurturing of talent, the making of short films has kind of like gone out the window. And I think that, that's something I think that we can improve upon or look towards as just doing a better job, I think.
Any kind of like last thoughts or final words that you kind of want to impart on people?
Yeah, so like when I watched the AI presentation that happened and we have AI actors coming to be, or we have these like these new mediums that are opening up, I would consider YouTube and TikTok a sort of new medium. When you add AI into that, suddenly everyone goes from being a channel to being a studio that they can make fully fledged productions. Like the question that I have, because you were talking to them about IP, something that I think is like really interesting and a really missed opportunity, or will, with the growth of AI, happen, is like, imagine if you're Disney and you give your fans all of the IP to make whatever they want in the world of Star Wars, or you make something that's an open source IP. I think that's the other thing that people are missing with YouTube as opposed to traditional distribution. Traditional distribution is a one-way street. You pay for a ticket, you go and see the movie, maybe you write about it on Letterboxd. With YouTube, you can talk to the people, you can have a communication. And as a filmmaker, if I can give you the assets to make your own stories, sure, that changes a little bit because I want you to see my version of Star Wars. I want you to see my version of the characters. But my gosh, what a amazing marketing opportunity to give the audience the IP and go like, what would you make with this story? And then from that, seeing what people react to and what people like. And, oh, I never thought that these two characters would be in a romantic relationship, but maybe we can make that whole movie. You know, like Twilight wasn't it a fan fiction of Harry Potter or something? And then they made their own thing. So I think that that's something where the big scary word of AI, I think, will really, when you combine the community of a TikTok and a YouTube and you give that community the ability to actually make their own stories, I think that that would be a mind-blowing and a totally new medium that's not just the one-way street that it is now.
That's very interesting. Thank you so much, Walter, for this conversation. It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.